A haunted house, footsteps in the night, doors opening on their own, toys levitating in the air. All of this and more coming up in this latest episode. Hello and welcome to William's Scary Things. If you have any strange or unusual experiences to share on the paranormal, ghosts, unexplainable phenomena such as UFOs, folklore, and generally anything creepy, then visit the William's Scary Things subreddit. Please come on over, join, and share your stories and experiences with me. Thanks for watching and listening, and enjoy the episode. For source and credit, please see the description. The summer between my 7th grade and 8th grade year, my family switched houses and we moved one city over. It was the end of summer, and the day before school started was the first day we had moved into the house permanently after completing all the renovation and getting all the utilities up and running. It was about 10:30 p.m. I was laying in bed trying to sleep before school the next day. Everyone in the house was also in bed for the night. I started to hear the sound of footsteps walking on the roof above my bedroom. Just a few steps at a time, and then the sound would stop for a while before starting again. If you have ever been in a house when someone is walking on the roof, it's a very distinct sound. At first, I thought I was crazy. There wasn't any logical reason for someone to be walking on my roof late at night. I wrote it off as the wind that was blowing a tree branch from a nearby tree onto the roof. I knew that the sound of a tree branch hitting the roof doesn't match up with the sounds of walking on a rooftop, but it was the only logical conclusion that I could make. I thought about this for a few minutes and looked at my window. There was a sheer curtain over it, and the outside porch light cast the shadows of the nearby tree onto it. I decided that I would watch the curtain to see the wind blowing the tree in time with the sound to confirm that it was just the tree. The footsteps started again a few minutes later, and no shadows from the tree moved on the curtain. In fact, it was not windy outside at all. I got up and woke my parents up. We all went outside with flashlights looking around the roof. Nothing was there. Also, the tree near the house came nowhere close to touching the roof. I went back to bed and tried to get some sleep. It wasn't easy because the footsteps kept coming and going. This sound happened on a pretty regular basis. Not every night, and not for a long time, but a few footsteps at a time and with or without wind present. After living in the house for about 3 months, my brother and I had made friends with the neighbor kids across the street. One day their mom was talking to my mom, and my mom asked if she knew the people who lived in the house before us. The neighbor mom told my mom that it was an old lady who lived in the house alone. One day she went up onto the roof, right above my bedroom, and she fell off the roof, broke her neck, and died. This wasn't the only thing that happened. Over the 3.5 years that I lived in that house, many strange things happened. The telephone would ring with an abnormal ring in the middle of the night. If you answered, there was nothing there. No dial tone, no sound, just nothing, as if the phone was unplugged. Maybe just a buggy phone line because the house was old, but it was still creepy. Another time I woke up in the middle of the night, barely awake, and I see my collection of micro machine jets floating around the room in a circle. I'm delirious with sleep and just called out, "Knock it off!" And they all floated back over to the dresser where they belonged. I went back to sleep. The next morning when I woke up and walked over to the dresser, the micro machines were all there, but they were not all lined up in a neat row like they should have been, but strewn about, and some of them were flipped over. By the time I was in the 10th grade, my friend Steve would come over to spend the night at my house. I told him that my house was haunted, as I did anyone that spent the night. The ghost never bothered to show itself for anyone except for Steve. It seemed to be fond of Steve. I'm not sure if it liked him or didn't like him. Steve and I are in the living room listening to music one night. I came out of the kitchen with a glass of water in my hand. I take a drink from it, and I set it down gently on the table next to me. The glass shatters outward into several pieces. I didn't smash it down hard, and it didn't have any crack in it, but when I say that it shattered outward, I mean it shattered with force and not just crumpled from me setting it down because of some unseen crack. Steve looked at me with his mouth and eyes wide open, freaked out, and I just said, "I told you, dude, my house is haunted." The last part of my story involves Steve. Steve and I were in the house again, all alone. All the windows were closed, and we were sitting in the living room watching TV. We hear this creaking sound coming from the end of the hallway, and we look that way. At the end of the hallway is a cabinet door that covers the hot water heater. This door was opening very slowly, and we both sat there and stared at it in silence as it completely opened. It stopped at completion for maybe 1 second before it slowly started to close again. By slowly, I mean it took about 5 seconds each time to open and close. Steve was fully freaked out by this and vowed to never come over to my house again. Anyways, that's my story. I don't think that the spirit that lived there was malevolent in any way. I just think that it wanted attention. Maybe the lady who lived there before us had her spirit imprinted on the location at her death. I moved to another town in my junior year of high school, and I haven't had any kind of encounters like that since. Whatever was happening at that house seems to have stayed there. I would definitely have been scared with everything happening in that house. I wondered about the old woman who lived in the house prior. What would make them go up to the roof and have an accident? So apparently in the comments for this story, the old lady died after going to the roof to clean leaves out of the gutters, and the family moved into the house in the 90s. Steve would have many encounters in the house and would never actually get to see a spirit, though. Another friend named Johnny would spend the night but never encountered anything. Strange that it only seemed to show itself to Steve. Perhaps the old lady was trying to find ways to communicate through opening doors, levitating toy cars, calling via the phone. But what is she trying to communicate to the family and to Steve? It doesn't seem like a malicious spirit, although toys levitating in the bedroom is probably borderline malicious. Until next time, thanks for watching and listening. I appreciate all your support, and I'm just getting started. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at William_scary and join my subreddit. Thanks and take care.